Viewers, these days everyone is appreciating Amazon. Every entrepreneur, every person who owns a business dreams to have a company like Amazon. In order to be a better entrepreneur, a better employee, a better manager, we need to understand the mindset of Jeff Bezos. So in this video, I have compiled the foundation of Jeff Bezos from 1999 to 2019. I will show you a video of 1999, 2000 and 2019. The summary of the video is that throughout in last 30 years he has focused on two things. One was customer experience and the other was long-term thinking. So if you want to be successful in 21st century, so you must have these two things, the customer experience, the long-term thinking. Now let's watch the videos. I'm sure you will find this compilation very useful. Thank you so much.
Maybe more. But I believe that if you can focus obsessively enough on customer experience, selection, ease of use, low prices, more information to make purchase decisions with, if you can give customers all that, plus great customer service, and with our toys and electronics, we have a 30-day return policy. If you can do all of that, then I think you have a good chance. And that's what we're trying to do.
You're not really a pure internet company anymore either, are you? I mean, you've got millions of square feet now of real estate. You've got a huge and growing inventory of items that you keep in stock.
We do whatever.
And you've got thousands and thousands of employees now.
Yeah, we have over 3,000 employees and over 4 million square feet of distribution center space. And those are things I'm very, very proud of. Because with that distribution center space and half a dozen distribution centers around the country, it allows us to get product close to customers so that we can ship it to customers in a very timely way, which improves customer service levels. That's what we're about. If there's one thing that Amazon.com is about, it's obsessive attention to the customer experience, end to end. And that's what those distribution centers are.
But you're not a pure internet play.
It doesn't matter to me whether we're a pure internet player. What matters to me is do we provide the best customer service. Internet, schminternet, that doesn't matter.
Well, but it does matter to your investors to know whether they're investing in a company that
they should be investing in a company that obsesses over customer experience. In the long term, there is never any misalignment between customer interests and shareholder interests.
Well, that's the same argument that somebody at Walmart would make as well, wouldn't they?
I don't see why not. I think they should make that argument.
So
it's a correct argument.
Okay. So you'll open as many square feet of space, physical space, as you have to, hire as many employees as you have to
service customers. Absolutely. And we'll do it as rapidly as we can.
That's a very cost-intense proposition.
Not compared to opening an equivalent network of retail stores. So if you open a bunch of chain stores, look, when we open a distribution center, we're opening places that may have, where we may pay 30 cents a square foot for a lease, instead of paying $7 a square foot, which you might pay in a high traffic retail area. So when you compare those things, they're not the same. You can't compare a big chain of retail stores to half a dozen distribution centers. It's just not, it's bad math.
Okay. Either way, whichever side of the argument you believe, you're making what seems to me to be...
There's only one side, which is obsess over customers.
But it seems to me that both with the speed of your growth in terms of the number of stores online that you're opening, the different businesses you're getting into, the number of distribution centers and you're opening and new employees you're hiring, that you are making an intense gamble here, which is twofold. One, that you can run this number of businesses, different businesses, well, and two, that you can make money by selling vast volumes of products at essentially razor-thin profit margins.
I think that the first one in particular I agree with wholeheartedly, which is that we're there's no guarantee that Amazon.com can be a successful company. What we're trying to do is very complicated. There's huge execution risk involved. We have a terribly complicated business. We're growing, historically very rapidly. We're opening new product categories. We're expanding in new geographies. We have whole new business models with things like auctions. Now, we think this is the less risky of the two approaches because scale is important in this business, and you need scale also to offer the lowest prices and the best customer service to people. So scale is important to us, and we're going to go after that kind of scale. But it does mean that the executional challenges are huge. And so you'll find a bunch of people back in Seattle and around the world working very hard to make sure we service customers at the level that they're used to, and then even improving that.
Isn't it, to some extent, a certain amount of, with all due respect, corporate arrogance to assume that you can come into these businesses which you have no experience in and virtually overnight enter a huge variety of different businesses and become the best in those businesses and the market leader in those businesses and execute those well, when there are other companies that have been running these types of businesses for decades, if not more?
I don't think so. So when we first started selling books 4 years ago, everybody said, look, you're just computer guys, you don't know anything about selling books. And that was true, but we really cared about customers, and now we know a lot about books. And when we first started selling music, people said the same thing, but we hired the right people. So we don't do this in a vacuum. We go out and hire the best industry experts in each of these categories. It's the same with toys and electronics. So, we take this very seriously. We take the commitment to the customer very seriously, and we're not about to release something or announce something before it's Hello, my name is Jeff Bezos. I started Amazon.com about 15 years ago. Tons of stories from the early days. We started the company in my house. Short list. This won't take long, and it's complete too. All right. Well, the first thing I know is that you need to obsess over customers. I can tell you that we have been doing this from the very beginning, and it's the only reason that Amazon.com exists today in any form. We've always put customers first. When given the choice of obsessing over competitors or obsessing over customers, we always obsess over customers. We pay attention to what our competitors do, but it's not where we put our energy. It's not where we get our motivation from. We really like to start with customers and work backwards. And again, that is the key thing that I know, and it covers a lot of other mistakes. If you're truly obsessed over customers, it'll cover a lot of errors. The second thing I know is invent. It's really important to invent. Anytime we have a problem, we never accept either or thinking. We try to figure out a solution that gets both things. And that often requires invention, but you can invent your way out of any box if you believe that you can. And what we talk about is inventing on behalf of customers. It's not a customer's job to invent for themselves. You need to listen to customers. It's critical. If you don't listen to customers, you will go astray. But they won't tell you everything. And so you need to invent on their behalf. And that focus on invention has served us well. Some of the recent things, even Kindle, not just Kindle, but EC2, the Elastic Compute Cloud, these are things that we would have never gotten to if we didn't have an inventive culture. But also, those are kind of large grain things, but there are small things too. And then, think long term. This is really critical. Any company that wants to focus on customers and put customers first, any company that wants to invent on behalf of customers has to be willing to think long term. And it's actually much rarer than you might think. I find that most of the initiatives we undertake may take 5 to 7 years before they pay any dividends for the company. They may start paying dividends for customers right away, but they often take a long time to pan out for shareholders in the company. So that ability to think in sort of 5 years and 7-year time frames really is very, very useful for us, and it's definitely one of the things that I know. It requires, by the way, and allows a willingness to be misunderstood. If you think long term, many of the inventions that we undertake, maybe if they're disruptive in any way, they may not be understood in the early innings. And it's always been very important for us to think long term so that we can tolerate being misunderstood. We've been called Amazon.toast, Amazon.con, many different things, many of them not appropriate for a video. And if we think we're right, then we continue. If we think we're wrong, if we're criticized about something we think we're wrong, we change it. We fix it. So it's important to really think about those things, but never to buckle to sort of standard kinds of pressures that come on that really force short-term thinking. And it's a huge competitive advantage to be able to think long-term, and you get to serve customers much better. All right. That's all that I know, really. I know one more thing. I'll save it for the end. But I want to, this is a very exciting day. Zappos is a company that I have long admired, and for a very important reason. Zappos has a customer obsession which is so easy for me to admire. It is the starting point for Zappos. It is the place where Zappos begins and ends. And that is a very key factor for me. And I'm kind of, I get all weak-kneed when I see a customer-obsessed company. And Zappos certainly is that. Zappos also has a totally unique culture. It's unique. I've seen a lot of companies, and I have never seen a company with a culture like Zappos's. And I think that that kind of unique culture is a very significant asset, and I'm super excited about that. I've spent a lot of time, at the very top of the list is one I've already mentioned, but you'll probably hear it 10 times throughout tonight because it's so central, and it is customer obsession. It's customer obsession instead of, for example, competitor obsession, or business model obsession, or product obsession, or technology obsession. There are many ways to center a business. And by the way, many of them can work. I know and have friends who lead very competitor-obsessed companies, and those companies can be successful. That's not a bad strategy. You have to be really good at close following. You identify winners when you watch your competitors very carefully. If they latch onto something that's working, you duplicate it as quickly as possible. It's a very good strategy in some ways because you don't have to go down blind alleys. If you're not pioneering, if you're only close following, it has some advantages. But it has some disadvantages too. And I like the customer obsession model. I think it's the right one. I think it's better than product obsession even. I think product obsession is not bad, but I think customer obsession gets you there in a healthier way. So that's one of the principles, one of the approaches that we take in every single thing that we do. The second one is that we are willing, I would say even eager, to invent and pioneer. So that is, I think that goes along, it marries really well with customer obsession. Customers are always dissatisfied. Even when they don't know it, even when they think they're happy, they actually do want a better way, and they just don't know yet what that should be. And that's why I always warn people, customer obsession is not just listening to customers. Customer obsession is also inventing on their behalf, because it's not their job to invent for themselves. And so you need to be an inventor and a pioneer. And the third one
It's really central to the way we think about all of our business problems and a bunch of things at Amazon, is we're long-term oriented. So I ask everybody to not think in 2 to 3 year time frames, but to think in 5 to 7 year time frames. To not think about, when somebody says to me, congratulates Amazon on a good quarter, which is a very common thing to say. You meet somebody, they're being nice, they looked at your financial results for the quarter, they're like, good quarter. I say thank you. But what I'm thinking to myself is, that quarter, those quarterly results were actually pretty much fully baked about 3 years ago. And so like today, I'm working on, a quarter that is going to happen in 2020, not next quarter. Next quarter, for all practical purposes, is done already, and it's probably been done for a couple of years. And so if you start to think that way, it changes how you spend your time, how you plan, where you put your energy, and your ability to look around corners gets better. So many things improve if you can take a long-term. By the way, it's not natural for humans. So it's a discipline that you have to build. The kind of, get rich slowly schemes are not big sellers on infomercials. And so that's something that you have to sort of steel yourself for, discipline, and teach over time. So that's what is Amazon. I would say really it's a collection of principles and it's an approach that we deploy, and it's fun. I dance into work.